Yo, what's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, April 23rd. Just got back from boxing, sparring, Wednesday night sparring. I think everybody should do some kind of martial arts, especially with some kind of contact. You don't have to compete, but I mean, it's really good. Get in there in the ring with somebody, slug it out, or do jujitsu and roll on the mats, Muay Thai, whatever. I just think it's fantastic therapy, man. And it gives you a lot of humility, let me tell you. You could walk around during the day thinking you're hot shit, whatever, business, just physical. But then you do that, you get punched, you get beat up, you get submitted. It really teaches you humility. And I think in our game, as investors, I don't see how that's a bad thing. I think actually a little humility is a good thing. So yeah, and actually today I was kind of in a funky mood, a little down. So that just changes the whole perspective. It's great. Anyway, it was kind of not a flip-flop day, but we came into the day and there was headlines that Trump was going to lighten up on China and he was going to leave Powell alone. And so the market was up over 1,000 points. And then it came out later that, well, he's not going to lighten up on China. And so we gave back more than half of that move. This is, like I always say, if you're trading these headlines, I mean, that's basically like a crapshoot. It's silly. It's silly because what you're doing to yourself is you're just micro-focusing and trying to run ahead of the stampede of everybody else. And you're just going to get chopped up. I mean, the way to do this is to have that big picture in mind, to understand the economics, to understand how the monetary system, all the stuff that I talk about. So the tax drain now was 7 days, 408 billion. I said we were going to do something like 370, 375. And I said there was a good chance we'd go over that. I mean, I just see the way tax deposits are flowing, and they're flowing now strongly over last year, individual tax deposits. And so we had a 408 billion drain. And I do think that drain, that's also been a factor in really the primary factor in the reduction in reserve balances. We had a big drop in reserve balances. And, that was an issue that I was discussing a couple of months ago with the bilge pump and everything, with the debt ceiling and the, inhibiting or kind of messing up normal treasury sales because treasuries are a reserve drain. And I said there was a chance that a tax drain, where it's usually a negative thing, right? Because it leaves the non-government balances, it leaves our balances lower. Got to pay taxes. But that reduction in reserves, that takes the heat off of the banks, off of the financial system. Because again, reserves have to be capitalized. And there's too much. The banks don't need, 4 trillion of reserves in the system. And that's what's been happening. So that tax drain actually ended up to be somewhat of a positive. And I said that it'll probably add some stability. I think we're still looking good till May 1st. Today was a Social Security payment. So today probably was the first day out of the last 7 days that we probably had a positive net transfer. In other words, not a drain. Could have still been a drain, but I'm guessing today with the Social Security payment, we had a net positive flow. Here's something interesting, folks, and I'm going to tell you this. You're going to be the first ones to know about it. The government for the month of April is running a 293 billion surplus, thanks to the taxes. Now, listen to what I'm going to tell you, because you're going to hear it first, as you do with so many other things. I bet anything, once that news hits, and it usually comes way after I tell you guys, maybe 10 days later, maybe 2 weeks later, they're going to say, oh, the government ran this big surplus in April. And I bet anything, I'll put money on it, that Elon Musk is going to say, you see, that's Doge. That's working. He's going to take credit for it. Just like he took credit for the smallest deficit in March, when he didn't understand that that was only because the first of the month payments for March went out on April 28th, because March 1st was a Saturday. So now when they announce, and it'll hit the news, it always does, it'll hit the news, government has a 293 billion surplus for April. Elon is going to say, you see, that's Doge in action. Success. We're doing it. And everybody out there is going to say, wow, that guy's unbelievable. Look what he did with that Doge. Now we have a surplus. But the only reason we have a surplus is because they trained everybody's. This normally happens during April. Every April, you can go back and look at the data for every single April, because we pay our taxes. And so the government runs a surplus in April, and then it goes out again. And that's exactly what's going to happen this time. So you had a surplus in April. If you understand why, it's not because of Doge, but I bet anything, that he's going to take credit for that. And maybe even Trump will back him up on that statement. I don't know. But crazy, right? Anyway, gold was down. I don't think it's anything right now, because we still have very strong leading flows. I need to see like a steady contraction in net government transfers. Now, we had a big contraction in the latest week. That was due to that huge, I spoke about this yesterday, the tax deposits that suddenly they were flatlining and then they went straight up. By the way, if you want to see that graph, you got to sign up. Go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com. I'll send you that graph. Sign up for a 30-day free trial. But I need to see a continuation in that contraction in net government transfers. If that doesn't happen, then I have to say that leading flows are very strong. And when Congress finally gets around to raising the debt ceiling so we can get back to some normal functioning, I think the market starts going back up again. I really do. It looks to me like Trump is vacillating almost on a daily basis, which is, that's what he does. That's his normal pattern of operating. He's vacillating day to day on, should we do the tariffs? Should we not do the tariffs? Should we do the tariffs a little bit? Should we do the tariffs a lot? So I think in the end, it'll be reduced from what he originally represented or what he originally stated. Because you see now, and I think there are people within his administration, advisors. I think there are CEOs. He's been meeting with CEOs. I think they're telling him this. And I think he's going to back off. And the market will adjust. The leading flows are very strong. And as long as that is the case, and I don't see net transfers, I mean, they went down. They're still above last year by like 208 billion. But that was a big drop from, they were up something like 350 billion over last year. So that was a big 1 week drop. If that continues, and worst case, if that ever goes negative, like if net transfers goes negative on a year-over-year basis, that is a 100% guarantee of a recession. So far, we don't have that. We've had a contraction on a year-over-year basis, a narrowing of that differential, but it didn't go negative. So just to keep you updated on that. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Get in that boxing ring or go roll on a jiu-jitsu mat or something, man. And see you tomorrow. Don't forget, please like and subscribe and go to my website if you want that graph. I'll send that graph to you, pitbulleconomics.com. Sign up for a 30-day free trial to MMT Trader. See you tomorrow. Bye.